And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. Very good day. My name is Daniel Wahome, and it is a day when we've got the launch of the Kenya Innovation Week. This is happening at the Edge Convention Center in South Sea, Nairobi. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is expected to be officially opening that event, and this is the Commonwealth edition. Basically, can we innovate and make the most of our Commonwealth? That is the theme that we have here. Alana Oko is our reporter there, and also he shall be joining them once the President arrives at South Sea for the official launch of that event. We have got the TVET Curriculum Development Assessment Council handing over. So this is happening, this was taking place today. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu at the CDACC offices, which is the Curriculum Development Assessment Council. So they are going to be, that handing over was there. And there's also the National DESIP Family Planning and Learning Conference that was happening there. And Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano meeting with all key staff in her ministry today. And also, remember, building up to two events, Kenya versus Rwanda. Tomorrow at noon, it's going to be live on KBC Channel 1. It's the Sekafa Under 18 Boys Championship. And also on Wednesday afternoon, know that the Harambee Starlets are playing. So those are some of the stories that we shall be having for you. And to add on to that, we are also keeping up with all the parliamentary committee meetings that are happening. So we will be getting a brief from Kevin Washura and his team once that comes through. So much happening with the Senate Industrialization Committee, which is visiting the Kenya National Trading Corporation. And also there is a meeting with the Council of Governors. So all of this happening there, and our parliamentary team will be briefing us on all of these events as they are going on. So stay tuned with us. Our hashtag is Sport Check KBC on X. We are at KBC Channel 1. Our sign language interpreter within this hour is Anne Wangeshi. Well, let's get into a second conversation today. And it's a sport that people will ask, what's going on here? Wahome, what are you doing? Because you've always associated this sport with women. For the longest time, it was associated with women. We're talking about netball. And this is a sport where we've seen Kenya go out there and play. And already a team has been selected for the African Netball Cup that's taking place from tomorrow, actually, till the 6th of December. The Kenyan team travels tonight. And in studio on my immediate left, team manager, Samuel Angasa. Karibu.
Thank you, sir.
And also, we have got the assistant captain of the men's team, Kizito Waswa.
Yes, sir.
Now, Kizito, just tell us how you got into this sport. Now, najua ulichekwa.
Si kuchekwa vile, I got into the sport quite young. When we were in primary school, it used to be one of the sports, like the usual sports, football, volleyball, and for the primary kids, we could go from one level to the next. So that is how I was introduced. Although when I went to high school, it was missing. There was a gap there. Then I went to university again. I found it there. It was ongoing. There was university leagues. And I proceeded from there. So, yeah.
Which university was it?
Kenyatta University.
KU.
Yeah, KU.
Yeah, we know. It's got a huge sporting culture, by the way.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we can talk about their basketball team.
Yeah, playing the national tournament, the league.
In the league, we can, and that's for both men and women. We can talk about their rugby team, Black Blood. So there's a
whole culture of sport at Kenyatta University. So it supports like all the available sports you can find in Kenya. You can find them at Kenyatta University.
Very well. TM Angasa, let's just basically talk about the evolution of this sport here in Kenya. Yeah. Netball, because this is where you come in from the administrator's point. The women's sport has been there, that we know. Yeah. But the introduction of the men's sport is where I would like to start.
Thank you, Daniel. About men netball, it's been around for quite a while. only that it has not received the publicity that it deserves. As the assistant captain has pointed out, we've had netball being played at primary level. Now the only challenge was there's a lapse between primary and college where for some reason there is no netball boys in high school.
For the older ones, I mean, you'll be asked, what are you doing there? I mean, it's crazy, but
yeah. It's a different ball because you see, in primary there was netball. I'm saying there was because, again, as we speak now, there's no netball boys in primary school. But there's netball men at the universities and club levels. So netball started off as a women's sport.
Yes.
Much the same way other sports start off with a particular gender. But over time, and out of interest of the men, you notice that if you go around here, you find most of the coaches in Kenya are male.
Very true.
Yes.
It's an oddity.
Yes. And so that's where men came in.
Like him, of course.
I'm talking about match officials, referees and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where men came in now. Because if they are coaching, then they can play it. So netball men has been around for quite a while, from say 2005, 2007. But it's not received the media publicity and all other marketing aspects that it deserves. But yes, netball men has been there. And men have been playing netball at club level. Let me talk about the East African region, for example. We've had club championships being played for quite some time. And in 2014, the title for Club Championship East Africa has been predominantly held by Kenyan teams, namely Kenya Prisons men team. Again, incidentally, where a bulk of our national players come from.
I'm just looking at the squad and it basically looks like...
it's an entire Prisons team.
It's Prisons, Ulinzi and two friends from another club. Actually, no, the women's team. And the men's team is Kenya Prisons.
And Ganek.
And Ganek. And one person from Kakamega.
Yeah.
So that you have somebody from outside Nairobi.
Not really.
Not necessarily.
Okay, but anyway, we'll be coming back to the team, yes.
Okay.
So, 2014.
Yeah, so in 2014, that was the last time we had a Kenyan team holding the East African Club Championship.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, there was a first trial, regional, at the continental level that was held in South Africa. And Kenya had a team participating. So that was the first time we are like having netball men being played outside East Africa. And then fast forward in 2021, there was the continental championship held in Pretoria, South Africa. Again, Kenya was there. And we presented a team. We competed well. We matched third.
First and second were...
South Africa
and Uganda. Of course, we have South Africa and Uganda.
Yeah.
So Kenya emerged third. Now, this year, thanks to the initiative of the stakeholders and the government, we are presenting a team for ranking matches for men. It's happening for the first time this year in Botswana. Yeah.
And that's your trip this evening?
Yes.
All right. So basically, let's now talk about, the sport itself. And just tell us, we'll start with you. What's your playing position is one I'll go for first.
I play goal attack and wing attack. Those are attacking positions in netball. So goal attack, you can score and you have to fetch the ball again to help your goal shooter. And then wing attack, you are the main feeder. You can't score, but you have to make the passes, like the goal assists in football. So most netball players play several positions. You'll find if I'm an attacker, I could go for maybe 2 or 3. You can find again others have an attacking position and a defensive position, which is not very common, but it happens again. Yeah, but generally we have 7 positions, 7 players on court at a time for a team, all the way from the goalkeeping, goal defense, wing defense, center, wing attack, goal attack, and goal shooter. Then we have 5 on the bench.
Okay. Just take us through each of those positions, TM, and the roles. We'll start with the goalkeeper.
So we start with the goalkeeper.
And actually, you don't.
GK.
You don't.
Yeah, you use the abbreviation. Goalkeeper,
you don't have a
GK.
jersey number. You have the position.
Yeah, position
Yes.
number.
Yes.
Start.
So let's start with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is mandated to man the goal end of the team. His job, his main job or her main job, let me talk about his. We're talking about netball men, yeah?
We're going to include the women also. Because, yes,
So the main job of the goalkeeper is to ensure that the goal shooter of the opponent does not make a score.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Then we have the goal defender. So the goalkeeper marks the goal shooter. Then the goal defender marks the goal attack. So wherever the goal attack goes, the goal shooter the goal defense goes. Wherever the goal shooter goes, the goalkeeper goes. And you notice that in a netball court, we have 3/3
Yes.
divided. It's a 50 by 100. Nifuroti. Yeah, so
Actually, yes, quite interesting. It's a 50 by 100.
it's a
Yeah,
50
it's
by
a 50 by
100.
100.
So on that 50 by 100, it has 3 demarcations. We have an area where the goalkeeper goes, the first goal third, and that is where the goal shooter goes. We have the second third, that is the center third, where again we have the goal defense and the goal attack playing in center third and goal third. And then we have the wing attack, who is manned by the wing defense. Like the name suggests, they are wingers. They don't get into the center circle, but their job is to fetch the ball, make sure it moves around and gets to their shooting area, and feed it to the shooters, the goal attacks, and the goal shooters to make the successful shots.
So, every time I watch netball, looks like there is some clarity I want. The goalkeeper.
Yes.
Hardly would, you may have somebody who is a goal shooter who is, 6'4", 5.
Yeah, they are tall.
They are tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just take a look, basically, even looking at our team, we know who the tallest is. And we've seen her score
Yes.
all the time. But let's basically take a look at what are the do's and don'ts of a goalkeeper. Because we see, unlike basketball where you will try and block whoever is shooting, what are the do's and don'ts?
The do's and don'ts in netball. Fine. When netball started, there's this cliche that netball is a game you can play with your mother-in-law because it's a no-contact game. Wait.
Okay.
Actually, it's a no-contact game.
Yeah.
It started off as a no-contact game. So always, at whichever time in the game, there's a distance of 0.9 meters measured on the ground between the attacking player and the defending player. But over time, like other sports, it has evolved, and now contact has not been allowed per se. But we can talk about contest.
You contest for space.
Yes, you contest for the space, you contest for the ball until one of the players gains possession. So once that is done, then the player in possession of the ball is entitled to a space of 0.9 meters round. So one don't is don't contact an opponent once they are in possession of the ball.
That is 3 feet.
Yeah,
Yes, 3
that's
feet.
about 3 feet.
Measured on the ground.
Yes, it's about that much.
Yes. The second don't. A player in possession of the ball is not allowed to make more than 2 steps. So we have the landing foot and the pivoting foot. So the landing foot is the foot that steps on the ground first. Immediately you gain possession of the ball if you are airborne. But if you are grounded, you move 1 foot. The foot unmoved is the one considered the landing foot. So no movement with the ball. The other don't is once you have the ball in your hands, then you are not allowed to juggle the ball from one hand to the other. If it moves from one hand to the other, there shouldn't be space. The ball should not leave contact of your body at any time.
So basically, you're permanently on 2 hands.
Yes.
Unless
no, you can hold
shooting.
with one hand.
You can hold with one hand, just as long as you don't throw it to the other hand. If you're changing the hands both in contact first, then you release one hand. Both in contact, you release one hand. But you can't juggle like this. Throw it to one, throw, no.
So ideally, this is the ball, and I grab it in the air this way. I have to
Yes, then you can
move
Then,
it.
exactly.
then you release the other hand.
Yes,
How long do you hold on to that ball?
3 seconds.
3 seconds
Yeah.
only.
Okay. Now, because you mentioned about the movement, and we've seen, some of the videos from, the competitions that are there. So this is your pivot foot, this is your landing foot, and this is your pivot foot.
Yes.
So, which, if you need to turn, basically it means it's this way.
No.
Your landing
the-
foot is the first one.
Yes.
This is your landing foot. This is your pivot foot.
Yes.
For heaven's sake, this should not move as long as you have the ball.
The landing foot.
The landing foot. So the pivot can go anywhere. Remember, you have 3 seconds to make those moves.
And pass the ball.
Yeah.
Right. Defending. Because it's very interesting. For a long time, I've seen somebody get highest level you can on your toes.
Yeah.
But here, I have seen somebody shooting,
Jumping.
jump.
Yeah, they are layups. So you can do a layup. It's allowed in netball as long as you observe the basic rules. Footwork, the defending space, and then you release the ball within 3 seconds. So you can shoot whichever way, as long as you're using your hands and you're in the goal circle.
Good. A penalty. In case someone commits a foul.
Yes.
A foul is committed when another player infringes the two rules, the contact or an obstruction. That is like a major infringement in netball, and it means you involved somebody with the ball, or at least even if it's off the ball, but it's considered by the umpire or the match official as a major infringement. So if there is a penalty and you are the infringing player, you can't do anything at that moment. You have to go and stand beside at the position where the infringement occurred until that ball is released from that place. Then you continue playing on.
Very well. Now let's take a look at the local scene and start, because I'm just basically taking a look at the Kenyan team. Prisons. TM, how is it that Prisons, came to dominate this?
Well, Prisons have been in the game for long. That's one for sure. 2, they have had the right sponsorship from the institution, so they are able to get players and have them in camp and have them train, and they go for championships and competitions. See, the biggest challenge that we have in Kenya right now is sponsorship, where we have very many good players out there, very many good players. There's a lot of talent in netball in Kenya. The problem is institutions do not have the muscle to keep these players on court, because you know what it takes to maintain a team. You need to give them upkeep, allowances, commuter, and all this stuff. But I would say that for Prisons, they are a bit fortunate that the Prisons department, where most of those players are employees of the Kenya Prison Services, has been able to sponsor the team. Don't forget, we also have Ulinzi.
Ulinzi, yes.
Yes. So they are the 2 major clubs we have in Kenya. And like I mentioned, it's because of the stability that comes along with the sponsorships they have. We have other clubs that are really struggling to keep pace. We have Homa Bay that have a club. We have Ganek. We have Mathare. We have Vihiga. They have a ladies team. Yeah. We have Kakamega County. We have basically many other institutions. And that is why you realize that netball is in universities. So in the university leagues, almost every other university has a netball team. And now the challenge is funding and having these teams participate in. We have monthly league meets, and they move around the country.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll be coming to that monthly. Just give a brief about the university scene.
The university scene, netball is played first as under the KUSA Games, the Kenya University Sports Association Games. So we have, if it's the Nairobi region, there is competition. Then you go to Rift Valley, they have universities having the competitions there. The top 2 teams usually proceed to a national competition, and then they get the winner there. Also, they have the KUSA national tournament where any university team can register to play, and then the East Africa University Games. So that's where most of these universities are competing. But then again, in the national league and tournaments, the same universities, some of them, they are very they have developed their teams to a level where they can present them to a national competition outside of the school games.
Outside of the university game.
Yes.
The KUSA league.
So that's where you find institutions like KU, just like the Black Bloods playing the rugby series, the Pirates playing the basketball series. So you'll find the Netball Kings there. They're also playing the national series for netball. You'll find universities like University of Eldoret, Masinde Muliro in Kakamega, Chuka University. Most of them, those that have very strong teams, they usually proceed from the university games, then they go to the club games.
Now let's talk about the league scene, because you're doing this monthly.
Yes.
And for some people would say would like to see it more often. More often. Almost a season that's predictable, maybe 9-10 months, like for most sports.
Yes.
Just take us through, ideally, that your league series.
Yeah, in the netball league, what happens is that a calendar is drawn at the beginning of every year, and in this calendar, the league moves around counties. Like I said, we are looking for ways of promoting netball. So the best way to promote it is to take it to where the people are. And that is why the games are moving across counties. If Nairobi is hosting this month, next month we go to Mombasa. The other month we are going to Machakos. The last league meet we had was in Homa Bay. Before that we had one in Eldoret. And before that we had another one in Kakamega. So it moves around like that to enable grassroots teams, mashinani, to have a feel of what netball is at the national level. But the biggest challenge has always been our teams cannot move and participate in all those league meets because of the financial constraints. But whenever a league meet comes to the county, it's incumbent upon the county office to mobilize and ensure that they invite as many teams as possible from the neighboring counties and within the county and have the game promoted. So that's where we are.
Now, let's talk about this sport, because Kenya is an interesting country.
Yeah.
We play basketball outdoors.
Yes.
On tarmac or concrete.
Yes.
We play handball outdoors.
Yes.
Exactly.
Then I will also, which other sport?
Handball, volleyball, basketball, netball.
Now, we play netball.
Outdoors.
Even on grass.
Mostly,
Not
actually.
even. Most of the time we are playing netball on grass.
On grass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you don't have to bounce the ball. Good. Now, but netball is an indoor sport. At
international level.
International, ideally at any level.
Ideally at any level, you should be using
You should be playing indoor.
Indoor.
On a surface that's
Wooden sprung floor.
Good. What's the challenge, for you as an athlete? Let me start with you. When it comes to playing at international level, when you've got to change surface.
Actually, first, let's start with the grass courts. Obviously, when you're using grass courts, there's this danger of injuries.
In fact, we call it clay court.
Because they are not very level at every venue. You'll definitely find some minor incidences where injuries can occur to the ankles, the knees, and all that. And then when you have to change then that to international level where you're using an indoor facility, well-maintained wooden sprung floor, sometimes it comes as a surprise to some
that
players.
Culture shock.
You can look at the lights, then boom, you don't even see your players. You just pass the ball anyhow. You're used to the natural lighting, outside. Then suddenly you're indoor somewhere. Then of course, the temperatures are different. You're sweating a lot in an indoor facility. But then most of the time, the adjustment doesn't take that long because at least the federation tries its best. Before a major international event, at least you'll have some training in an indoor facility, albeit not the same quality as where you're going, but something closer to that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we'll be coming back. We're with Kizito Waswa. He is the assistant captain of the men's netball team that is going, to what simply call it the African Championships.
Yes.
Ideally
In Botswana.
In Botswana, they're traveling tonight, and we've got Samuel Angasa, who is the team manager. We'll be coming back, gentlemen. But just a reminder that Kenya is hosting the Under-18 Boys Championship, the CECAFA Under-18 Boys Championship in Kisumu and Kakamega. We had the opening weekend, Kenya winning 5-0 in their opening match. They won against Sudan. We saw Rwanda defeat Somalia by a goal to 0 yesterday. Tanzania 1-0 winners over Uganda, and just before that, we saw South Sudan and Zanzibar play. Zanzibar win by a goal to 0. The response to that and the outlook for the other matches that are coming up. Now, let's get to hear from the General Secretary of CECAFA, Auka Gesheo, who is in conversation with Achola Simon. So let's get back to our conversation, and it's about netball and the national men's and women's netball teams. They will be traveling to Botswana for the African Netball Cup. Basically, that's the African Championship. And we are in studio. On my immediate left, Samuel Angasa, who's the team manager, and we've got Kizito Waswa, who's the assistant captain. And also, before we took a break, you spoke about now the surfaces and adaptation. Now, TM,
Yes.
when you encourage, you spoke about how at times you go play indoors, the lights, everything. How do you help now your players adapt? Because they will be playing indoors. When they went down south, I think last year, they played indoors.
2021.
2021.
Yeah. So, Daniel, before I answer that, let me take you back a bit. In this issue of the wooden sprung floor, I'm happy to report that Kenya has been awarded a wooden sprung floor, awaiting shipment from South Africa. So possibly in the near future, with the necessary help from the government, we are going to put that behind us, because we shall have the exact facilities that our players are going to interact with when they go for international meets. Talking about how...
Where would it be? Where will it be installed? Where is it going to be set up?
That's purely a government issue. But the federation, the Kenya Netball Federation, is in talks with, of course, the administration is in talks with the government. Because of the shipment costs, the federation cannot incur the shipment costs, so the government has to come in and ensure that, the wooden sprung floor is brought to Kenya. Thereafter, some space will be identified by the government where this facility is going to be put up, so that Kenya now can host some of these continental meets. Now, about encouraging players, of course you have to talk to them during training. The indoor aspect is not going to be a big challenge this time around, because we've been training at the Ulinzi indoor arena.
Yeah.
The only challenge now is going to be the wooden aspect. You have to talk to the players. They have to be alive to the fact that they are going to experience that change. Thankfully, we will have a few minutes to interact with the floor before we take on court for the game. So the few minutes that we shall have, there's already a training schedule for all teams. So like in the event, every team has been given their time when they are going to train. So it's slotted. If Kenya is slotted for between 4 and 5, so during that time, the team has time to interact with the wooden sprung floor. And the short interaction period is very important. Much as athletes may not give the best, because again, these things, it's all about, what do I want to call it?
Familiarity with the court.
Yeah, familiarizing yourself with the court. And again, that culture. We are going to play against South Africans. These guys are always on a wooden sprung floor. They are going to play against Kenyans. Tumezoea nyasi. Sometimes it rains and the matches have to be stopped.
Stopped, yes.
Sometimes we go to counties where it's all dusty, there's no grass. So I joked earlier, it's a clay court. We don't even call it a grass court. We call it a clay court.
Maram court.
Yes.
Maram court. Actually, it should be called Maram because now finally we know we have a real clay court at Nairobi Club.
Yes.
For tennis, a real clay court.
Yes.
But Maram.
Maram court.
So it's all about talking to the players, preparing them for that shift from what we are used to what we expect. So that once they are mentally set, there's going to be a change. It's easier to adapt. Thank you.
Well, now let me come to the women's, team. At the moment, we know South Africa, Uganda, Malawi. Those are
the big dogs in Africa.
now. Those are the top teams when it comes to this. But what were the learning lessons from the World Cup qualifiers played in 2022, especially for the Kenyan women team?
The learning lessons, one, exposure makes a big difference. Most of these teams you've mentioned have their players playing pro. They're in Australia, they're in England, and then you look at the structures in those countries. For example, the South African teams, they have secondary school leagues independent of secondary school games. They have a netball league for schools. They have a netball league for universities. They have a netball league for clubs. And that should tell you why they are where they are. You look at our Ugandan neighbors, they're also doing well. And I want to believe we'll get there. We'll get there. It's going to take some time, but looking at where Kenya was a few years ago, from position 112 to position 32 now, world ranking in ladies. We are making baby steps, but gradually we'll be there. So the most important thing is that we need to get our players exposed to current trends in training, in coaching, and then be alive to the fact that netball is an evolving game. It's not, like I told you, it's no longer the game where you can play with your mother-in-law. There is a lot of contest.
Not where I come from.
Where you come from, you don't play games with your
mother-in-law. With your mother-in-law.
It's just a euphemic way of saying it's a game where you have your space. That is it. You're not playing games with your mother-in-law, so you have your space, your mother-in-law has the space. But with those evolutionary changes coming in, I want to say that we are not where we were the last time we went out. Every time we interact with teams from outside, we come home with the lessons and areas where we need to improve. Yeah.
Now, the men's scene, just tell us about that.
The men team?
Tell us the men's scene in Africa, where it is.
Currently, the last time we played against South Africa. Men are good. They are really good. Ugandans are equally doing well. But as Kenyans, we are in there. We've been regional champions for club championship for a very long time. I think for the last few years, that's when we lost it. We participated in the club championship that was held in Kenya earlier this year. We hosted the East African Club Championship, and we had our teams participating. Like I said, our biggest challenge being there is that lapse in transition. You know, you have to have a baby, being born, see the baby grow, become an adult. But when you have no baby but an adult, then it's a challenge.
All right, that is Samuel Angasa. He's a team manager of the Netball Kenya team. And now, we'll be coming back to them as we come to a close, but let us join Sarafina Robi, who is in Naivasha, and she will be speaking with Alice Ngari, who's the movement building lead of the Africa-led movement to end female genital mutilation. It's called 16 Days of Activism. Over to you, Sarafina. Well, almost time for me to leave, and I'll want to finish this conversation about the Africa Netball Cup. And Kenya is traveling tonight. They'll be playing tomorrow in Botswana, both the men's and women's teams. And I've got 2 from the men's team here. I've got the assistant captain, Kizito Waswa. He's on my far left, and the team manager, Samuel Angasa. So we would like to, give this final, the final word from TM. Yes. What needs to be done to mainstream volleyball? Because you mentioned, especially
netball.
Netball. Because especially when we say men's netball, it used to be there as
Yes.
boys netball in primary school,
Yes.
but now it's Adversities League. What needs to be done?
Thank you, Daniel. A lot needs to be done. One, we need to bring this game back, because if you watch the men play, there's a lot of talent. And like I usually say, sometimes it's all about sniffing an opportunity and going for it. Women's netball is where it is now. And we have women from other countries going pro and earning a living from it. How about it's time we did it for our boys? Secondly, I want to appreciate the ministry, the Minister for Sports, and all other concerned parties for making this possible for us. It wasn't possible, we didn't know we were going, but thanks to the ministry officials, CS Ababu, and all other officials in the office, the federation officials, for working day and night and ensuring that we go out there, expose our men, and we are very hopeful that we are coming back victorious.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Samuel Angasa, TM, Netball Kenya, and the assistant captain of the men's national team, Kizito Waswa. All the best and safe skies.
Thank you very much.
Walisema nitume salamu.
Hiyo hatutakubali. Hapo tutakupeleka Radio Taifa utume salamu hapo. Radio Taifa is where you will send salam. But right here, thank you very much. All we can wish you is a safe journey to Botswana and best in the competition.
Thanks so much for having us.
Sports Check, thank you for being with us. Our sign language interpreter has been Anwangeshi. Coming up next is Tamrini and Kurunzi Mashinani. But also know that we've got the Kenya Innovation Week. President William Ruto is going to be officially opening that event at the Edge Convention Center in South Sea. So keep tabs and let's keep viewing KBC Channel 1. Have a good day. I am Daniel Wahome.